What's going on, everyone? My name is Claire and welcome to my YouTube channel. I wanted to talk about the book that changed my financial future, which is a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. In the book, Robert Kiyosaki talks about how his biological father, who he refers to as the poor dad, says to go out, go to college, get a real job, and what he found out is that his poor dad didn't do so well financially. Now he talks about the other side of it, which was his rich dad, which was his friend's dad that went out, worked extremely hard, just like his poor dad, but then was able to go out and be well off and more financially successful because he had money that worked for him rather than working for money like his poor dad. So there are a lot of lessons in this book. I want to go through the 6 lessons that Robert Kiyosaki learned from his rich dad about making money and the mistakes that his poor dad made. The first lesson is the rich does not work for money. So in the book, there's a quote that says, "The poor and middle class work for money. The rich have money work for them." What does this mean? It means that the rich still work extremely hard, just like anybody else. However, they go out and they actually have more investment properties and income producing properties that pay them so they don't have to work so hard. And while the poor and middle class, they work for money, meaning they go out and have a job, which they are trading their time for money. And I will say, I don't want to get this misconstrued that working a 9-to-5 job is bad. It's definitely not a bad thing. It's just making sure you understand where you're going financially to be able to break away from that 9-to-5 job. It's a stability for now. It's a short-term solution to a longer-term problem. But in order to actually enjoy life and go out and really create wealth for yourself and your family, you have to understand the financial literacy that goes behind actually getting wealthy and how money works and operates. So the second lesson is buying assets instead of liabilities. An asset is something that has value, that produces income or appreciates, and has a market where the asset can easily be bought or sold. In this particular case, we're talking about real estate because Robert Kiyosaki is known for investing into real estate. That's why I also take to this book, is because I do mainly investing in real estate. I don't necessarily do stocks and bonds and all that stuff. My sole focus is real estate investing and growing my portfolio. So he says that your primary residence is not considered an asset. And the reason why is because it is not producing any income. Sure, you get the appreciation when you go and sell it in maybe 3 to 5 years or longer, but that doesn't really necessarily take care of your situation now, which is not generating any cash flow. You're having to go work a job to be able to go pay for your mortgage, which is not considered an actual asset. He's saying in the book that rich people acquire assets, poor people acquire liabilities. So what is considered a liability? A liability is anything that is taken out of your pocket, meaning if you have a car payment, a student loan, or a credit card that you owe money on, that's consumer debt. There's a lot of different ways that classify liabilities, but if it's not producing you money, it is considered a liability. A great quote in the book, and it states, "Want to grow rich? Concentrate your efforts on buying income producing assets. When you truly understand what an asset is, keep your liabilities and expenses low, you'll deepen your asset column more." The third lesson in the book says, mind your business. And I love this because he's basically saying that get your financial future secure and good, then you can go and help other people. But until you have your own security, it's hard to go out and help somebody else. And I definitely agree with that scenario. So he's saying first pay off all your debts, get out of all your student loans, your car loans, making sure that you pay off the majority of your debts, then go save up and go out and buy income producing assets. He also states go out and stay financially healthy, meaning go out and spend your time doing things. And that might be in your free time. Instead of blowing all your money at the bars, why don't you go out and maybe go on a hike and go out and get some exercise instead of going out and throwing away all your money every single weekend. Go out and become a better version of yourself. It costs zero money to go out hiking. It costs zero money to go out and learn self-improvement habits. It doesn't cost a whole lot to become a better version of yourself every single year. The fourth lesson is taxes and corporate taxes, understanding how the tax structure works in the US. Taxes and interest are your two major expenses in life, and I was just talking to somebody where he paid $20,000 to $30,000 in taxes. I'm like, hey, I can help you save that money next year. He didn't want to hear it, but to each their own. So this is where your LLC corporation, whatever entity that you have, you can go out, and when you buy income producing assets, you get a lot of tax deductions, and where you can write off a lot of things. You can write off a bunch of things. I'm not going to get into it because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a tax expert. Rich understands the tax code, or they hire people that understand it. Instead of you paying yourself last as a W-2 employee, you actually pay yourself first, and then you have your expenses, and then whatever is left over, you get taxed on. So with an entity, earn, spend, and pay your taxes on. While as a W-2 employee, it earn, pay taxes, and then spend what hopefully you have something left over. Typically, it doesn't feel like a whole lot. The fifth lesson is that the rich invented money. What does this mean exactly? It means that they understand how money works and operates. Now, there's different types of investors that go out, and they either A, have a broker or somebody that understands stocks, and they go through a broker, and the broker managing their wealth and their asset management. A lot of the time it's people who have a lot of assets. And then on the other hand, it's the people who are just getting started, who need more education, and they still manage more of the day-to-day operations of all of it. So there's definitely two sides to it, but one of them is more of like a level up. Let me know in the comments below, which one sounds harder? Work hard, pay 50% in taxes, save what's left, your saving earns 5%, which is also taxed, or take the time to develop your financial intelligence, harness the power of your brain and asset column. I will say that a lot of the time we could talk about the income producing stuff and going out and taking action, and what stops us in our tracks is really the fear of doing it. But that's what he's talking about. I know it's a little bit daunting of saying, okay, go out and get income producing assets when you've never done it, you've never tried to do it, you don't even know where to start. I know that can be very overwhelming. My biggest fear is not starting and being stuck in the position that I was last year. That drives me every single day. My biggest fear is having to go work a 9-to-5 job. It's the thing that eats me every single time. The sixth lesson is work to learn, don't work for money. The poor dad believes in job security, while the rich dad believes providing value and learning about how to get to the next level. So it's two different types of mindsets. One of the biggest fears of Americans is to go broke and not to be able to afford any of the car payments or your mortgage. And that is what keeps you in that job on a day-to-day basis. The crazy part about the whole thing is that when you do get to 60, 70 years old, there is that possibility that you go and retire and you run out all your money. That's what I think about more so than going homeless on a day-to-day basis. I'm more concerned I'm gonna get to the end of my life and not being able to afford anything. So if you want to read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I left a link in the description for you to be able to buy the book yourself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.